Everyone, and welcome to the sixth installment of our 10x Success series. And I'm quite excited to progress in this series because we're moving away from our first five episodes, which dealt with being great. And if you recall, G stood for goals, R for reading, E for energy, A for attitude, and T for take daily action. And I'm hoping that you've managed to implement some of those things in terms of developing some of the greatness in your own life. But this series, this episode 6 is going to deal with L in the word leaders. And it's going to be a little bit more serious from the point of view that I really want to get into the heart of what it takes to start developing one's own leadership abilities and skills. And I think one of the greatest skills in developing as a leader is the ability to listen. And it seems, one always uses these anecdotes that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we should use it in that proportion. But I often find in meetings, especially when we're in a corporate meeting or a business meeting, that people interrupt one another. We're talking without really listening to what the other person is saying because we feel that our response is more important and we need to get it out there. And the skill of leadership requires the skill of listening. And one of the things that I've been reading a lot about is this idea of what is deep listening. Now, if you just apply the idea of what could deep listening be, it's really about listening beyond our own preconceived ideas. And there's just 4 little things that I like to try and do in any engagement with someone in trying to listen deeply to what they're saying. And the first question I ask myself is, what is this person actually trying to say? Not just the words that they're saying, but what are they actually saying? What is the meaning behind their words? The second thing I always ask myself is, what is the emotional state of the person? Are they agitated? Are they relaxed? Are they comfortable? Because the emotional state often speaks to the meaning behind the words. The third thing I try and ask for them is, what message are they wanting to convey to convince me of something? In other words, they're only telling me something because they want me to change my way or perception or belief about something. And the fourth thing that I really like to ask myself when I'm speaking to someone else is there any other messaging that they're not saying in the words? So that I'm getting a complete picture of what someone's trying to say to me when we're engaging in a conversation. And the more I research around listening, the more I realize that some of the great business leaders apply this technique. And a good example is Richard Branson, who we all know is one of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet. And he's well known to go into any kind of meeting where he sits basically quietly for 80% of the time, just listening to his team, making copious notes, understanding what's going on. And while everyone looks to Richard Branson for leadership and guidance, he's the one that does the least talking and only speaks about 20% of the time. And to me, that's quite a good sign or a good indication of am I speaking too much in a meeting when I realize that I'm doing more of the talking and less of the listening. So in terms of our series going forward, listening to me is going to be one of the key skills that I would love to see all of us adapt more and more in our business environment so we can learn to understand one another, and that's really where leadership starts. So I hope to see you soon. Cheers.